Hello everybody, welcome to another rapid speed run against Moon, rated 1756. We're going to get a Pirc defense and see how they handle it. Will we get an early e5? Will we get a center fork trick? Who knows? Okay, so no center fork trick. They go bishop d3, protecting the pawn. We're just going to castle. He castles, we develop a new piece towards the center. He stops our knight from harassing his light square bishop, which is fun. Now we can develop for free because we're threatening the central pawn with our knight by pinning this knight, the defender. We like free developing moves as it gives us a lead. So he retreats, breaks the pin, and over defends the pawn. Fine. So we're going to take that knight, put his bishop specifically on this square, and then play e5 so it's looking at its own pawn. If he takes, we go for the queen trade. If he doesn't take, maybe he pushes, we can still hop in the center. So we hop in the center, threaten to take his bishop pair away, or we can also play c6 now and break down his center, or maybe move the knight and play for f5, depending on what he does. So it's similar to the Philidor, only the bishop would be on e7 on the other one. Okay, he brings out this bishop, which attacks the knight. I'm going to take his bishop pair and leave his queen over here, which I'm not sure what it's doing over there. Okay, I'm going to play c6 instead of f5. He now pins my knight. What does this threaten? Just trades. Nothing but trades. So I'm going to play h6 and see what he wants to do. Does he want to trade? If he takes, do we want a queen trade? I don't see the harm in it. Maybe it helps neutralize his space advantage. Maybe not. Is he going to take or retreat? He retreats. Okay, now we want to take this if we can get him to fill this square with a pawn, not a piece. So if I take this and he takes with a pawn, mission accomplished. If I take this and he takes with a knight, I'll trade, mission accomplished. And by doing that, he never gets to utilize the file against me. So I'm going to take, forcing a pawn onto the square one way or another. And by doing that, that will protect my backwards d pawn from his rooks, making it more solid. And now I have this 2 on 1 in the central files. Okay. So I can immediately develop with threats, such as rook over. It does hang my a pawn. You could develop your queen first just to get activity and protect. If you push this, that's not worth it. f5 is an idea, but I feel like you have other avenues right now. Here, he takes your pawn, you take his pawn, he doubles. I don't want my queen here anyway. I might as well develop it and get active. It protects, covers a lot of squares, attacks the center. And now I can move my rook to c8 with a threat. My rooks are connected. Whoever outplays the other person from here on out is going to win. f5 does have this weird f4 threat, making him go back, which is weird, but Okay, so he goes here. Maybe he's going to kick my queen or something, but definitely going rook development for free. That seems strong. Okay, he protects the pawn by doing it like this. That's fair, but it creates light square weaknesses, so maybe I can utilize that with my pieces. For example, if I want to double, I can go here. He can't really smoke me out effectively. Could also lift my queen to get more access. I could also go f5. I don't know if doubling has the desired effect, so I'm going to go f5. A rook on c4 is nice because of horizontal moves and it blockades the pawn, but doubling necessarily right at this moment, I'm not sure what it does. So he goes here and allows us to push his bishop back. Should we do that, or should we maintain? Maybe maintain and wait for him to trap his own bishop or do something dumb. Although, here, the pawn hangs. So here, I can add pressure. He can fork me. I get a pawn. He gets a queen. I get a queen. He gets a rook. So here, here. I can just move my queen over. It's not a big deal. I'm going to throw it in. Get his bishop off of its clearly best square. And see what he wants to do. I'm not sure what he should do. He goes back home. Okay. I could open up my bishop, but then that pawn's a little loose. If I go back behind it to defend, that is possible. You can improve your king. I think maybe my queen should sit on c4 and just abuse that square. Hold on. Okay, my dark square bishop is my least active piece though. It's clearly not doing much. So I would like to push this pawn, but then again, it's hardly necessary right now. So I think I'm going to move my queen out of the way of my minority attack pawns. Also, so I can get to c4 and help support this pawn that I want to push to open my bishop. I just don't want to push too early and have it way too loosey-goosey. I'll push at the right time. So he develops his queen, or tries to improve it this way. I don't like this because it covers his b pawn. I don't think that's the right thing to do. So I'm going to continue with my minority attack pressure. Not continue, I guess start. But this helps support the b4, the c4 square. And so he's fighting not to get squished, and we're trying to get active and prevent counterplay. His rooks aren't even connected. So he goes forward. He wants to trade queens, but on his terms, not mine. The downside of this is it undefends this. But, well, he can't even go here and coordinate because that rook's loose. So if I do go here, what's his move? He also can't move the bishop because that hangs. So I'm going to take this free pawn in the center. I can always just kick his queen away or something. And that pawn, it was covering this diagonal for me and preventing defiled pressure, but I think my pieces are in a good enough place that I don't have to worry because his are terrible. His queen's the only piece that's even doing anything. So he moves a pawn, This threatens nothing. The drawback is it weakens the dark squares. He is trying to stop me from doing this. That's his plan. But like I said, it weakens the dark squares. So this move comes with a nice coordination. Oh man, the lawnmowers just happen to come right now. Okay, so he sacrifices his bishop to take a pawn. I can intermezzo this, but that's just trying to be fancy. I just want to take the bishop and just say, okay, I'm up a piece. I don't really care about the fancy tactics. What? And he resigns. What? Okay, so we have a Pirc's defense. We castle. We have the starting position. We develop center with the idea of harassing his bishop. He stops the harassment, but then we develop and attack the center. We take, so he loses control over the dark squares in the center. And then we play 5, trying to attack dark squares in the center. Force move, kinda. And then we have to try to break down his pawn structure. F5, C6, do something. Yeah, so you could just retreat your knight and push for F5, makes a lot of sense. I chose C6, also playable. We now harass his bishop, forcing him to make a decision. He chooses to keep it, and now we solidify the center in our favor by forcing him to put a pawn here. Black is ever so slightly better. We develop our queen and connect our rooks. He makes this weird move, I'm not really sure what it does, and now we develop for free. Is F5 the best? F5 is the best. Along with advancing your king or doubling maybe. Okay, so we play F5. He moves the queen, and it's -1. We restrict the bishop, still -1. And now you probably have lots of options. Let's see what the engine suggests. Yeah, so it's kind of basically also trying to bring the queen to the light squares. It's just doing it from a different route. That's why it's suggesting these squares. That's fine. Here is my one mistake of the game, dropping me to 93%. So they're saying just open up your bishop, over defend your pawn, go for the queen trade, or solidify. So why doesn't it like my move? Because A4 is the best move by him. Why is that? I mean, it's still good for black. I don't really see why this is bad at all. Okay, so it was just an unnecessary move that allows him to get some type of activity because after A4, his rook will have a way to get in the game through the A file, and there's no reason to give him that. So they're saying don't include it because the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, and it makes sense, so don't include it. But we include it, and we're -0.8. But he doesn't find it, and that was the only move that would make that a mistake. And immediately he makes a mistake in return, returning the favor. We get free stuff. followed by best move, improving your bishop. It's -3. And then he just hangs his bishop and resigns. So that was kind of crazy. So yeah, pretty smooth game. It all makes sense. Nothing too crazy. In hindsight, I would go for the f5 plan. Now that I think about it, when you go f5, their whole thing is it's like the King's Indian. They have to push the queen side. But they have the knight in front of the c-pawn, which makes it an even slower version. So I think if they had maybe the knight somewhere else or c4 already in, then maybe I'll play c6. But since he has like a slow version, I do like the knight d7 f5 plan. Yeah, so anyway, just some ideas to keep in mind. Try it in your game, submit your game in my Discord. Goodbye.